I'm not normal to begin with. You're sure as hell ain't normal. You're fucked up. I don't know about this guy behind the glass. He looks like, who knows, Earl Flynn with that pointy chin. Look at that thing. Your head's like a diamond.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast. Every time. And then you never hear from him when stuff's good, but it's literally every 1 to 2 months he's calling me. So the last time I spoke to him, which was just recently, I said, look, at some point, her bad behavior is not her fault. Your relationship is now becoming your fault because you're allowing it. So you're correct in that, where you can blame it on post-traumatic stress all you want, all right? And that'll work for a while. But at some point, it falls back on you. But I've seen people get sober for really 2 reasons. And I know you're a little odd with this because you kind of self-identified. But it's usually an event, medical event, car accident, DUI, loss of family. You know, there's an event that makes them sober up and finally wake up.
Not me.
A tipping point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's awesome. Right there, perfect. The tipping point. I went to a soccer tournament with my daughter. Nothing happened. I had a fabulous weekend. It was great. The worst part of it was I had to take a shit in a porta-john that hadn't been changed in like 3 months. But I did it. and
That's because you really had to go.
Listen, you got to go.
Oh, yeah.
But nothing. And I came back on the Monday and I was like, I need help. And I don't know if it was, something, or maybe someone's looking out for me. I never prayed. People bring God into stuff. I believe in God. Obviously, I was brought up Catholic, and I pray. I never pray for me, for something. I need this money. I need this job. I need this. I never pray for anything. I want my kids to be this or that. Whatever. I wanted even when my wife had cancer and she was dying, I was like, I didn't pray to give me that. I prayed for guidance. I prayed for just give me an opportunity. Like, show me the way. That was my way of doing it. And I can honestly say I always did that because I felt like I wasn't going to get it if I asked for it anyway. I mean, come on, divine intervention, all that stuff. You know what I mean? I really was being honest. It's just like, give me something. And I think that was my guidance. I think something clicked in my head and said, you got a real problem here. And you don't know what's driving you to do this, but it has to stop. And then you can figure it out on your journey in recovery. And that's what I did.
That moment when you're talking about the moment of realization, the moment of clarity.
Moment of clarity, they say.
That moment of clarity. Walk us through that exact moment. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Did you fall to your knees? Did you look up? Did you sit down?
There was no huge emotional thing. It was just this overwhelming feeling of I got to change something or else I'm going to lose something. I felt lost. That's what I felt. I hadn't experienced loss yet. I just like some kind of premonition, like I knew it was coming. And listen, I love my job. I know we can relate to this in the room. And I've said this 100 times that Mike is probably the best cop that I've ever been around, like for doing the job. And, I didn't get to experience a lot of him doing stuff like interactions as a detective, interactions as him being a sergeant and a lieutenant, but just the way he carried himself, the way he knew the job. If we talked about stuff, like it was a big thing. It was big conversations. Let's talk about cop stuff. That's what cops do. But it was good. It wasn't that thing like, shut the fuck up. Can we just fucking watch the football game? We got to talk about work. But it was like good stuff.
It wasn't really like telling war stories.
No, it was like
just
normal work stuff. Hey, we went to this house last night. I had this happen, and this is what we like. Just like comparing notes and mutual respect.
Trying to become a better cop.
2 guys that weren't saying, look at me, we're up here, but we were up here. I'm not going to lie, we're up here when it comes to what we did and how we handled ourselves. We're up here. We did the job the right way. And meanwhile, I got this whole other life fucking out, fucking running in the walls and watch this, I'm going to run into that door, stupid. Like, but my point is I love my job. And I guess at that moment, and I love my family. But I was prepared to lose my family. That's something I don't think I've ever talked about with you guys. I knew that I had to go away. I knew that I wasn't going to fix it. And I didn't know where Kara's head was at. I had no idea because I had just been...
Well, that was my moment. I was afraid I was going to lose my family. I had 2 small kids. And I remember driving myself down to, there was multiple conversations. Doc Steph was instrumental in getting me into rehab, and he's constantly telling me I have to go. But it wasn't at the point yet where I was going to be taken in an involuntary. Thank God that didn't happen. I remember driving myself down to Princeton House, and it was one of the most introspective and depressing drives I've ever seen in my life. And I could still, even now, if I'm driving down that way, down 206, and I pass certain things, I get that little click in the back of my head going, oh, yeah, that's the quick check I stopped and got my last cup of coffee before I started heading back down the rest of the way.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was an awful drive because, immediately I got 15 minutes away from home. I missed my family. I missed my kids.
I'm the opposite.
He was looking for the vacation.
I knew that's what I needed more than anything. Like, I just knew.
I started my sobriety journey before I ever got to rehab. My sobriety journey, and listen, I took rehab ultra serious like you did. I went in there with books and notebooks and a workout plan, and because I hadn't worked out in a while, and I was trying to refocus.
You're resetting your life.
Correct, but on the way down there, I started that sobriety journey because I started missing the things, and I started seeing what my life was going to become had I stayed there and keep drinking. I had to remove myself from the situation because I was drowning them, while I was drowning myself, and it was a tough, introspective look in the mirror.
I was scared that for multiple reasons. I thought I was gonna do something. I knew I was at the point where I think I'm gonna lose my job. Like, not that anything was looming out there. I just felt like it's only a matter of time before something happens.
And you didn't really get along with administration all that well at that point.
Oh, no,
right?
At that point I did. The administration loved me. It was the prior administration.
that's what I'm
How I
talking
made it through that, I'll never know. But this administration was probably one of the big stepping stones for me to get there. They embraced it.
But that's what I'm saying. The prior administration,
No.
If they were looking to step on your dick for something, they would have.
I just
They would've jumped
got
all over.
9 lives, and I
No.
always went around the corner. I really did.
I'm gonna give you a different look at it because I know enough people with alcohol problems that they'll never get help because they're so successful. They're so good at what they do. So all those little deficiencies in their personality are overlooked. If you were a shitty cop, you did everything wrong, constantly stepping on your dick, your journey down sobriety is going to look much different than it did. But you were good at your job. You did your job well. You were on point. You had intuition. You had all
simple.
that stuff.
It's not a problem until it's a problem.
Correct.
But then it became a problem for me, and I started thinking, I'm at the end of my rope here. Because I was starting to fuck up at work. I was starting to miss things. And I know my commander was like, fucking Bobby, this isn't like you, And I knew it was because of what I was doing. Like, oh, you missed this, you forgot this, or like something simple with firearms or something, And he was like, you catch shit for the things your guys do, So he was like, what the fuck's going on? And so now it's getting, it wasn't at the point where I was going to get fired or suspended or anything like that, but I felt that looming. With my family, I felt like I have to sacrifice what I could have with them and hope that I can get back there. But if I don't do this, I'm going to lose them too. She's going to send me away. I'm going to have to, I'm going to have all kinds of issues. Then it's going to go bad. Then it's going to be, then I'm not going to have the rehab. I'm like, let me embrace this and say if she doesn't want to be with me, she doesn't want to be with me, but I'll be the best version I can for my kids if they want to talk to me, whatever the case is. I that's a whole different story. You don't know. That's hearsay, right? I don't know what's going to happen, But so I went down there and I did it solely for me. It has to be selfish as can be. I was always just kind of a little selfish person anyway.
The drinking part is a selfish thing too.
Yeah.
So
the selfish part was now I got to. So you're good at it, right? You're good at it. I'm good at being selfish. So now I used it. It benefited me. The selfish journey helps you to be the best version of yourself in recovery. Well,
you finally get sober. When you were in, did you sober up in rehab, or did you go down there sober?
I was detox for 10 days. So I was when I actually got into rehab population, I was
clean,
dry as hell. I was clean. I was lucid. I knew what I wanted to do. But I had that.
Do you remember your first lucid sober thought after you go through your detox?
I do.
What's your first thought?
My first thought was I'm not normal. That's true.
You didn't have to go
I
to
am
rehab. I
not
would have helped you out with that.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Just had to come on the show.
Let's be funny. I'm Kevin. I got huge lines in my head.
Here we go.
so, but no, I'm not normal. And what I mean by that is I'm not normal to begin with. You're sure as hell ain't normal. You're fucked up. I don't know about this guy behind the glass. He looks like, who knows, Earl Flynn with that pointy chin. Look at that thing. Your head's like a diamond. Anyway. Yes.
It's like interviewing
Voice
Don
from beyond.
Rickles.
Is that you, God? So I said I'm not normal, and that was my motto, because if you don't accept that you're not normal, because listen, 98% of everyone else can go out and drink. They go to work the next day. They don't have to drink every day. They don't feel a need to it. They're not looking to bury some suppressed fucking shit that happened to them when they were a kid, or the fact that, their family abandoned them, anything like that. It could be anything. It could be fucking someone, you killed someone. It could be, I'm not burying it. They're just going through life. Oh, I had a couple martinis last night and a nice steak. That's great. I had 7 martinis and then 30 beers, and I woke up to go to work the next day. It's just who I was. And so I'm not normal. So I accepted that about myself. And that helped me with my movement. Now, I have several people that have come to me in the last 4 years and said, I need help. What do I do? And I always tell them my story. I can't tell them what to do, but I also tell them, you might be the person that can dial it back. And when people in AA hear me say that, listen, AA was an intricate part of my journey and it helped me. But then I had to break away from it because I just wasn't the meetings guy. Just not.
I've been to a couple meetings, and it turns into a bitch fest a little bit.
It can be a little gloom and doom, or it can be, but it helps. It helped me to a certain point. My story helps when I tell my story, my complete story. You get up there in front of 200 people and you say your thing. But with individuals, I tell them what I did, how I felt. I said, you can dial it back. And they go, what the fuck does that mean? I said, can you pull it back? And then I know lots of guys that drink a couple of beers a week and go out, maybe have a few glasses of wine at dinner, and they don't do what they did. And people are like, how the fuck were you drinking a 30-pack every fucking night? And now you're having a couple of glasses of wine and smoking a cigar, and you're like, because you train yourself that you just go, and I'm going home, guys. Like, it's like me. I go to the bar, I meet you guys, and we're watching a football game, let's say, hypothetically, because I really don't like hanging out with you. But
understandable.
No,
I don't like hanging out with myself. You're no different.
Yeah, lots of problems. But when we're there watching the game and shit, and you guys are having a couple cocktails and shit, and I'm not. I'm drinking spritzer water or whatever the fuck. All right, it's 9:30. I go, all right, game's over. See you later, guys. I go home. I never experienced that. I don't put myself in a position, people, places, and things, AA says all the time. People, places, and things. It's like you can't experience any of that. And listen, that helps a lot of people. I'm not bashing it. So anybody from AA out there that might watch this, don't think I think it's fabulous. That doesn't work for me. I'm a real person. I need to go to Matson's and watch the game with my friends and then leave. I need to know that I can do that. That's my normalcy. My unnormal part is that I can't drink, because if I have one drink, for a couple of weeks I'll be able to dial it back. But then I'm gonna have an argument with my wife, and I'm gonna be out for 3 days.
Is it really like testing yourself for reassurance?
That's a good way of putting it. But it's also training yourself. Like, listen, people say that's not a good idea. Why would you do that to yourself? Well, there's only one way to find out, and I did it successfully because I'm stronger than I ever thought I was.
But that's part of your recovery, and I think that's part of true recovery, is being able. I understand in the beginning when you're freshly sober, it's probably not a good idea to go out to a bar and watch a football game.
No.
But when you get some time under your belt, have your safe person around you, have your spotter, as you would like to call them, have your spotter and to pull you out when things start getting dangerous, somebody to watch your back, but expose yourself to that stuff because alcohol's legal. Alcohol's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
There's a bar on every street corner. There's a liquor store.
Especially Harrison.
I fly solo. I mean, spotters are great, but that's for the gym. I just fly solo. I knew that I wasn't. I told myself this: don't ever say you're never going to drink again. Why not? It's okay to relapse. It's okay. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not okay to relapse. You know what? If you relapse, that's part of life. You're going to relapse. You better do something to correct it. Then go to a meeting or meet with your doctor or go talk to somebody who you trust that can help you feel better about yourself. But it's not okay. It's actually fucking terrible. If I'm sober for 5 years and I just was driving down the block and I go, Mike's working at the Blarney Stone tonight. Stop in there. What's up? Hey, Bob, what are you doing? Nothing. Give me a beer. He's going to go, what the fuck are you doing? Mind your fucking business, Michael. And I'm going to drink that fucking beer. And there's nothing he can do about it. And he's going to be like, he's a frugal grown man if that's what he wants to do. But like now, that's bad. I just threw 5 years of, and I know what alcohol is going to do to me. I understand what it's going to do to me. So what's making me do this?
That's part of you accepting that you're not normal.
Yeah, and I'm not normal, so I know that I'll never do that. And if I ever do that, then I'll pick myself up, dust myself off, and just fucking go back on it.
So do you have anybody you can reach out to? I have somebody I can reach out to. And I've recently come across this where, I got 10 years or so. I got whatever the day after Thanksgiving 2013 was. I got some time under my belt. And
we could tell. Look at your face.
Oh, you fucking...
That was uncalled for. A wee bit below the belt.
Yeah. So there was a time when there was a trial for me, all right? Hanging around a certain group of people who are constantly saying, come on, just go on one bender, one more bender, one more bender. That's their thing. And these people have the means and the wherewithal to get me to do it. And they just wear me down. And I felt it. So I reached out to a friend of mine who has 35 years under his belt. And I was like, look, man, I just need somebody to vent to. So need somebody to unleash on, somebody with a clear head to talk this out. And that's what I did. And it kind of, I needed a realignment. I need to go in the shop to just get a hair realignment. And it was fine after that. It was good, but it was a trial.
I have somebody who helped me. When I first came back, they took me to a meeting, and they had 6 years then under their belt, and they got 10 now. But it was somebody that I could talk to if I needed to. Once in a while, we have a conversation. I have never really talked to anybody or had to reach out to anybody. I have been very fortunate in my recovery like that. But
so I could do the quick math. You're 4 years sober now. Then
I will be almost 4 years. Coming up soon. But my thing is anybody who has an addictive personality and they really know themselves, they need to fill the void with something. You just can't sit around idle. You got to have something to do. Drinking takes time.
You're an addict.
It's part of your life. It's like, hey, listen, I'm doing this. And I don't look down.
It's something you set time aside for.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to go to the bar tonight. So now you got 3, 4, 5 hours of hanging out at the bar. Now you're not going to go to the bar. You got 5 hours of spare time.
Exactly. Or you got to, obviously, it takes a lot of work to be an alcoholic. It really does. And it's easy. You don't realize it, but when you think back on it.
You have those people in front of you that are there to just pick you up when you need to. Like you got that, you filled that void. Because I've always said,
my void would be, that's what I was going to say. My void. So I coached the whole time I was an alcoholic. Then when I did my best coaching after I stopped drinking. I did more.
Do you think it was your ability to recall and learn?
I think it was the fact that I'm just a really hard worker, and I knew that I could be better than I was. I always want to be better than I was. Even to this day, I want to be better. So I took what I was doing, and I was like, I'm going to do this better now. I'm going to do more with less. I didn't care what my teams looked like. I just was going to go into it, and instead of doing 6 hours, I did 12 hours. I filled the void with that positivity. And then anything else, work. I came back. As soon as I got back, I was doing work in the detective bureau. They promoted me. It was almost like it was like, wow, I got something for this. You know what I mean? Like, I got promoted. Then I made detective sergeant. Then I got my own unit. And I was like...
But did you ever look back and say, I could have done this on a shorter time frame had I not wasted all that time drinking?
That's like, regret, and everybody has it, and it's also hindsight, so it doesn't make any sense because it's not like, if I did this or if I did that,
I still believe.
But you also wouldn't have the stories you have.
I wouldn't have the stories, and I wouldn't. Maybe I was meant to be. Maybe this is everything happens for a reason. Maybe this is what I was meant to do, to be here to help somebody if they need my help. But I do keep it real with the help part. Like, somebody came to me, somebody asked me to go talk to somebody, and I said no. And they said, why? I said, because if they're not asking for help, I'm not going to go there. I said, that's going to cause this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I'm not going to go because you never know how you are because everybody else is observing you. So we all know we've been there. Look at this fucking mess. You know what I mean? And then, but like, I can't go to that person. They have to realize it. So I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. You think I give a fuck? That's what you're going to get. You think I give a fuck what that guy thinks? Dude, you're stumbling, you're yelling at people, you look like a fucking jerk off. We all have, you know? It becomes an issue. People start looking at it, and then you say something to them. They're going to say, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. But you do. We all do. Let's be honest. I mean, I care. I care what people think about me. I really do. When I was doing it, I didn't give a fuck. I was like, okay, come close enough and say that. You know what I mean? Like, I would get, like, you know, that's how I was. I was a fucking jerk off.
I'm a big subscriber that an addict is one of the most powerful yet dangerous people on the planet. I say this about Mike DePalma all the time, all right? Because you take addiction away from him. You take that alcohol, you take the whatever, the pills or
Don't take the shorts. The shorts. God, I just talked to him about the shorts. I love those shorts.
I heard that was one of the caveats for bringing him to a certain event that you were going to bring him
Absolutely. He has to wear him there. Hopefully it's warm.
But you take an addict and you take that addiction away from them. They're hyper focused on their addiction when they're in the throes of it. Mm-hmm. You take the addiction away, they're going to be hyper focused on no matter what they do.
Yeah, and you like, listen, you getting in, but that all fades. Listen, when I came out of rehab, I went in rehab at 247, weight-wise. Bloated. I never forget, they at the one, I didn't go to the cop one. I refused to go to the cop one. I wanted to go to the real person one. I didn't want to share the stories with everybody and be like, yeah, I locked this guy up one time. You know, whatever. I just wanted to go where people didn't like me. I was a cop, or they thought I was a cop, and I could experience that junkie. You know what I mean? That one that's like, look at this fucking guy. I hope I'm one and done, you know? So they used to play fucking wiffle ball. Like, and the drug court guys are upstairs. So they got criminals upstairs, felonies that are in drug court, and they're coming down. And we're playing fucking wiffle ball, and I'm like, they're like, yo, old man, can you play wiffle ball? And I'm like, yeah. And the guy who was pitching for them, I got up, and he goes, yo, look at the beer belly on this guy. And I was like, fuck, I look like shit. Like, you know, now I'm sober for like, you know, I guess it's like got to be, it was like, I just got there. So it might have been like 13 days I'm sober. And I'm like, just pitch it, wise ass. Boom, fucking, I play wiffle balls like, you know, if wiffle ball was a sport, I'd be Barry Bonds, dude. I swear to God, I was so good at it. So, boom, at it. He goes, holy fuck, I flipped the bat. Fuck, everyone's laughing. Fuck, I go, hey, let me pitch. Dude, all the instructors are out there, all the people. Dude, that's all they talked about for 2 days. I've never seen anybody pitch like that in wiffle ball. Nobody could even hit it. It wasn't even fun for those guys. But you got to pitch out. You got to pitch every day. It was like their biggest thing, like the World Series.
You got to pitch on a rehab wiffle ball team.
Yeah, exactly.
We travel
like
to other facilities.
And I was like, and they were like, you know, whatever. So I was like, okay, these people are normal. You know, it's all right, good. So at that point, I was like, where's the gym? And then I stopped playing wiffle ball. They play wiffle ball every day, or they play horseshoes, basketball. And I was like, where's the gym? And I just locked in. Like every day after our therapy sessions, after our meetings, you get 2 hours before dinner. I was in the gym for 90 minutes of the 2 hours. I come up, shower, and go. I asked the guy, he's a Marine. I was like, hey, Mitch, where's the garbage bags? And he goes, oh, why? You got garbage in your room? I was like, no. He's a little short black guy, badass. He's like,